Welcome into rounding third. It's been a bit. We were just talking some Nationals here earlier. If you missed that, go check it out on the Nats report, along with all of our other good stuff. There's an interview with James Wood over there that just came out. So go check out all of that stuff. But welcome to rounding third. I am your host Jeremy Lapidus, joined today by my friend and co-host.
Hayden Raymer.
Uh, Today we're gonna talk a lot. We're gonna talk about some very important things all around baseball. Catch you up on everything that you need to know. Uh, you know, we're gonna talk about the White Sox. They're bad. They're
They're
very
bad.
bad. Uh, some teams that might be able to turn it around. There's been a lot of teams that are just kind of middling this season. Which ones might turn on the jet engines as they continue to go along this year? And then if whether or not Giancarlo Stanton is a Hall of Famer. Uh, but let's start off with the
It's
White
it's
Sox.
a listen. It's controversial. All right, people are
It
talking
is.
about it. It's a
I think
he
it's a
hit
very
that
interesting.
he hit that big home run, and then people were like, he's a Hall of Famer, and then people were like, no, he's not. So now we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, let's start off with the White Sox here, right? Because they're bad. They're bad, Hayden. Newsflash. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the White Sox, Hayden, they're
Unfortunately,
pretty
I
bad.
am aware of the White Sox. Jeremy, you want to
Uh,
read aloud their record for those at home who might not know just how bad they are?
yeah, let's do this. The White Sox this season, through 69 games, are 17-52.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's
they
that win
have a run
percentage?
differential
What's that win
of
percentage?
negative 150. And their win percentage is 246.
Yeah.
Uh, they've lost four in a row right now, and Hayden, they're very bad at baseball. You posed the question to me: are they the worst baseball team of all time?
I did pose that question to you. I
I
mean,
don't, I don't know if I go that far, but Hayden, explain to me why you think they might be the worst baseball team of all time.
well, so Jeremy, we talk about like batting average, right? And 246, I guess we can say that's a solid batting average, right?
Yeah, yeah,
All right.
solid.
So I guess my question for you is how many Chicago White Sox do you think with I'll say at least 20 games played
Okay.
have a batting average higher than 246?
Batting average higher than 246 on the
Yes.
White Sox.
With at least 20 games played.
In a normal lineup, I'd expect there to be, you know, four guys. On
Hmm.
the White Sox, they've been very bad. So I will say one, maybe two.
Answer was three. There was a guy with 22 games who barely eked in with a 253 batting average. Barely eked in. That's
Mm,
Corey Julks. Tommy Pham and Corey Lee are your two regulars. Their starting catcher and their 36-year-old corner outfielder who's on the IL right now. Uh, they're also hitting above 246. Uh, yeah, it's bad, Jeremy. Jeremy, do you know what Martin Maldonado is hitting?
Enlighten me. I have no idea what Martin Maldonado is hitting.
So Martin Maldonado, who's appeared in 36 games as a catcher, 110 plate appearances for those keeping track at home. He's hitting 078, 130, 118 on the year.
That's. Are you serious?
Yes. They've tried him out for 110 plate appearances for him to hit 078, 130, 118
Wow.
for a triple slash.
Beautiful.
That's my Chicago White Sox all-star right there.
Your Chicago White
The,
Sox
the,
All-Star isn't Eric Fetty?
that is I don't think you understand, Jeremy. There's a legitimate movement online to get Martin Maldonado into the All-Star game. I've seen people go as far as to make him their All-Star outfielder.
That would be awesome. I think that would be hilarious. You
Just
know,
I think that's the only way we can kill the fan vote for the All-Star game, which in itself is just dumb.
rocking a solid negative 28 OPS plus. Uh,
He's worth negative 1.7 F4.
he's really good, guys.
I forget. Is he still? Oh, he's still on the active roster. Okay, yeah. Just wanted to double
Yeah,
check
he's still
that.
here.
I just wanted to double check. I was like pretty sure, but I just wanted to double check. Yeah, no, it's really bad. In Chicago.
No, it has been very bad in Chicago, and it is a little bit disturbing when your best player by WAR is Eric Fetty, and nothing against Eric Fetty, right? We love
Oh, we
Eric
love
Fetty.
Eric Fetty.
We love Eric Fetty here, but he shouldn't be leading your team in F. He shouldn't be leaving your team in WAR, right?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be what's happening. Uh, this is
They have a
this.
historically bad offense,
Yes,
and
yes,
that's
they do,
putting it mildly.
and I believe they're still on pace for the worst record in the modern era, right now.
Who holds that record?
I believe it's the Mets.
I mean, well, yeah, duh. I don't know. I think the question really is, are they as bad as the Cleveland Spiders when the Cleveland Spiders were owned by the same guy? And whenever somebody was good on the Cleveland Spiders, they would trade that guy to the other team that the guy owned. Uh,
And that's the
that's the
question.
question.
And that's why, Hayden, I don't think they're the worst team in baseball, because regardless of what it looks like, they put a roster together to try and win some baseball games. Uh,
Precisely 246% of them. Or, 24.6% of them. My bad. Sorry. Uh, Numbers are hard.
Numbers are hard. But no, this White Sox team is atrocious, and
Yeah.
it's the worst team that I've seen with my own eyes. I was gonna say in recent memory, but I can't remember a team that's worse than this one. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's bad. It
Yeah.
really is bad there, and they don't really have too many positives, right? You know,
What
Eric
what are
Fetty
the
is your number.
positives, Jeremy? Let's go through this.
Let's go through the positives. Eric Fetty, positive number one. He's come back from Korea and looked like a solid starter.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
positive
mean,
number
I wouldn't
two.
say a solid. He's a guy that you can plant in the middle of your rotation. Like that
Right.
that's good.
Positive number two. Garrett Crochet. Will no longer be on the team by the trade deadline, I assume. Uh,
I mean, he's young
positive
enough.
number.
They might hold on to him.
I mean, if they get a good enough trade package, which I'm sure some contender would love
Oh
would
yeah.
love to get, a guy like him on their team. But,
But
positive number 3 is they're gonna actually rebuild. I know that they're not that this is technically their rebuild, but it doesn't feel like this team has truly started to rebuild yet. And I know they traded away Tim Anderson and stuff, but uh,
oh, they didn't trade him
you
away. He
know,
just walked.
yeah,
Yeah.
they've let people walk, but it doesn't feel like they've gone on a true rebuild yet. And I think this year they can finally admit to themselves that, hey, we need to rebuild this team.
Well, this was the rebuild, Jeremy. They built around Luis Robert. They built around uh Tim Anderson. They built around Yohan Moncada, Jose Abreu, in that infield. Uh, I mean, they failed to really find a second baseman. Uh, and then they had Kopech. Was supposed to be like their knight in shining armor, lead them through, be the ace of that staff, and it's this is what we're left with. Like,
No, it's bad. It really is, and there's not too many positives. But they'll fix it eventually. Give them like 10 years. They'll be good again. But yeah, no, the White Sox, historically terrible team, and struggling to come up with positives for them here is exactly why they're the worst team of the 21st century. definitely.
I mean,
Uh,
hey, props to Paul DeYoung. You know, he is gonna be playing somewhere else on August 1st. Good for him. Gavin Sheets looks like he's finally breaking out. Corey Lee, catcher of the future, only 25. But yeah, outside of that, there's not really anything.
yeah, speaking of
Mm-hmm.
bad teams with hope,
That
Hayden.
teams of hope, unlike
Bad
the
teams
Chicago
with
White
hope.
Sox.
Unlike the Chicago White Sox, there are lots of teams. If you go and look at the MLB standings right now, you can take a look at this and say, hey, there is a logjam here in the middle. So many teams are sitting between 30 and 35 wins in the MLB. It's insane. Uh, you know,
I mean, it's
Hayden,
just when you can beat up on the. Sorry. I'm gonna
no, go
stop.
for it.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
stop.
you're
I'm
right.
gonna
When you can
stop
beat up
beating
on the
up.
White Sox.
I'm gonna stop beating up on the White Sox myself. Yeah. As you were gonna say.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so many teams that are in that mediocre range, that 400 win percentage range, 400 to 500 win percentage range. That is, there has to be a couple teams to break out of this. And Hayden, who's your favorite to break out of this? Which one of these teams is gonna have a great second half of the season?
Yes. Jeremy, I'm sure you're familiar with the phrase, in life you can count on three things: death, taxes, and the Tampa Bay Rays to make the playoffs. Uh, and that's why I chose the Tampa Bay Rays. They're currently last in the AL East with a 32 and 36 record, behind the Blue Jays, behind the Red Sox, who are 500 somehow, and
They're
you know the
always 500.
and the O's and the Yankees, who are very, 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 very good baseball teams. It's going to be a tall task to make the playoffs, especially with an actual competitive two competitive teams in the AL Central. Thankfully, the AL West has been a nightmare. The reigning World Series champions, Texas Rangers want to do their best Washington Nationals impression and fall apart following their World Series run. At least the Nats had COVID to blame. Uh, yeah, I mean, hey, Randy Rosarena hasn't hit like Randy Rosarena. Josh Lowe hasn't quite hit like Josh Lowe yet. Brandon Lau hasn't hit like Brandon Lau. Uh, they're gonna have guys come back from TJ. You know,
Yeah,
Jeffrey Springs should be back sometime this year. You'd hope Drew Rasmussen and Shane McClanahan can make it at some point this year. Uh, if not, I mean, the rotation has been really good. Eflin's been good. Uh, Zach Little, who they claimed off waivers, last May, he's been really good for them in the rotation. Ryan Pepio has been their best starter, who they traded for from the Dodgers in that Glasnow trade. And they really just need that offense to just not be horrendous. Which I mean they've been okay. Junior Caminero and Carson Williams are near the major leagues. Curtis Mead is like up there too, where if these guys, the prospects start coming up, they clear way for those prospects. And I mean, they'll ball. I have no doubt about it. It's just kind of the pieces kind of need to sort themselves right now. I mean, that's the Rays' issue, where it's like, would you rather let the prospect go sit in AAA, or have Richie Palacios, just you know hit
yeah,
240, 330, 341 and be like a league average bat for you?
yeah.
It's a hard
Injuries
choice.
really have killed that Rays team, right? They've been
Well, the one
you
thing's really
mentioned,
killed them, but yeah,
yeah, but like
yeah,
that's out of their control.
yeah.
So are injuries, but it's kind of in the same category. Players being unavailable
Well, the
have really.
injuries, it's kind of by design though with the Rays.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's no secret that they, you know, players put themselves at more risk for injury with the Rays because they are going to perform better.
Fair.
Because
Okay.
I mean,
I
like
mean,
your body's not built to throw a tiny little white ball, as hard as you do from the weird arm slots that players do, and you get paid to pitch really well, and so people come to the Rays hoping that they help them pitch really well, uh, and then hopefully their body can hold up until they can get more money.
yeah, but isn't that just baseball? I mean, like
But I mean, there's a
injury
difference
by
between
design is
there's a
kind of
there's a reason why people go to the Rays and not the Rockies though. It's the Rays are like the team that does it the most,
okay. Yeah. But still, I mean,
and to the
they don't sign
best.
these guys
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, I expect you to get injured, so let's have a backup plan." Uh, the Rays are very good. You're right. They're too good of a team to be tied with the Blue Jays there down there, who are going through their own stuff.
Yeah.
But they're too good of a team for that. So absolutely, I think the Rays are a team that could definitely break out. They're only a couple games behind the Red Sox. 4 games out of that last wild card spot. Although that last wild card spot in both leagues are going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, the Rays really. I mean, they just need Yandy Diaz to remember how to lift the ball again. Because if he starts hitting for power, I mean, it's like they're missing that like thump in their lineup. I mean, Isaac Paredes has done a good job. Jose Caballero has done good, but I mean they need that extra lift. And I mean, Yandy Diaz has typically been that guy for them. And I'm sure they're hoping that he can be that guy for them here for the rest of the season.
yeah, no, the Rays have hope. They uh they always pull some black magic to be good, and they can make a run at any time. Uh, my team over here for this question is another similar team like that. It's not a team that you expect to make a run every year, but with their success last season, you expect them to be better. The Arizona Diamondbacks, obviously coming off of that World Series loss, they've had a couple of players uh underperform, to say the least. Corbin Carroll, coming off of his Rookie of the Year season, is not playing his best baseball. The bats have really slowed down, and they do have some bright spots there. Ketel Marte is is hitting the baseball pretty solid. He's got a 146 OPS plus. Uh, Christian Walker is playing fine, but outside of them and Jock Peterson, there's really not much to point to in this lineup, and they've gone through a big slump coming off of that World Series appearance there. Not to mention the pitching a little bit, which has
I mean,
not been up to
that's the
up to
bigger
standard.
story there, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, but no, this is a team that's stacked with talent, right? This is a team that has Zach Gallen on it. This is a team that was in the World Series last year, right?
Hmm.
And I know this team is better than it's playing right now. They didn't make any huge changes to their roster to be this far back, and this team was already a little streaky heading into the postseason last season. They were up and they were down, so this isn't like out of the norm for them. But I think that they're the team that's going to be able to turn it around and make that run to the playoffs here in the NL.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at them, I mean, it's really just can their guys get healthy quick enough? Merrill Kelly has been on the IL with a strained shoulder uh, since the end of May, or not even May, the end of April. Sorry, the fours and the fives months are hard. Days are math's hard, Jeremy. Uh, Eduardo Rodriguez, their big offseason signing, hasn't thrown a pitch yet for them. Uh, Zach Allen's on the IL now. It's hard to do that when like your big three heading into the season is on the IL on June 13th.
Right. And they'll that is injuries. Injuries really are the thing with these teams that you expect to, you know, get better, come back. And that's what we're looking at with the Diamondbacks and the Rays. I think both of those teams can make a run. I'm not sure how deep they'll go, but I think they can both make the playoffs in their respective conference there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's kind of what's expected for them, you know.
Yeah. But real quick, one more thing before we end our show. One last topic I have for you, Mr. Hayden.
Yes, Mr. Jeremy.
You mentioned Giancarlo Stanton hitting that big home run and the talk about him being a Hall of Famer. Uh, I personally don't think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Um, Now, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this.
I mean, you're talking about a former MVP,
Right.
a guy who is clean. You know, it's a big box to check in the current era of Hall of Fame voting. Uh, Currently has 419 home runs. You know, I would say it would be fair to assume that he gets that 500 mark, right? Would that
Fair.
be a fair assumption?
Probably.
Uh, I mean, you're talking about a guy with a career. Uh, I lost the number, Jeremy. I am sorry. He has a career 874 OPS. Uh, you know, he's got 1,500 hits right now, which, you know, if we're assuming that he's going to hit 80 more home runs, I think we can be generous and assume he's going to get close to 2,000 hits. Uh, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think this Yankees tenure is really tainted, like the way we view Giancarlo Stanton. But
Definitely.
like, he's really good. I mean, he was like really, really good. I mean, he was still pretty good with the Yankees the first few seasons. Uh, like in 2021, I mean, he had a 3 WAR year, which we're talking about a guy who's pretty much an everyday DH. It's really good. Uh, I think he has all the accolades that you'd want for a Hall of Famer. Uh, you're talking about a guy. I mean, if I ask you who's the biggest power bat of the 2010s, Jeremy?
Biggest power bat of the 2010s.
Yeah,
He's definitely up there.
yeah.
Yes.
Like you probably are like Mike Trout. I don't even know if Mike Trout would be the first name you think of.
He wouldn't be the first name I thought of.
I don't know who else I would think of above Giancarlo Stanton.
Could throw a guy like Bryce Harper in there maybe, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you
no.
could, but I mean, Stanton's like synonymous with home runs in the current day and age of baseball.
Right. And my one thing with him is he had that great run in Miami, right? And
Mhm.
he goes to New York and he wins that MVP in Miami, but you know, players that win an MVP, that doesn't automatically throw you into to the to the Hall of Fame, you know?
Mhm.
Only 44% of players that have won one MVP are in the Hall of Fame right now. So
Yeah.
that on its own doesn't make him a Hall of Famer. You talk about some of these other metrics. Sure, the home run numbers are there, right? But really, you have to take his whole career into account, and you can have these high highs, but also like it hasn't just been a couple seasons of slumping. It's been three, four, five in a row, and if we and it doesn't really show any sign of letting up at this point.
Yeah, I mean he's I mean he's overpaid. I think we can kind of from a like a value standpoint, I think we can both agree on that, right? But I mean this year he's hitting 233 with a 288 on base, 491 slugging. If you want to look and see kind of what the league is doing right now, offense is down. He's a well above average, 22% above average right now. Uh, the obviously last year and the year before he struggled a lot. It's just I'm gonna steal a quote from you, Jeremy. A metric for determining Hall of Fame candidacy from you. Okay. Uh, can you tell the story of 2010's baseball without Giancarlo Stanton?
See, that's a good point, and I love that.
Hmm.
But also, I think you can.
You can, but I mean that's just I think you're telling a very limited story of the 2010s baseball. You're talking about like the big things that happened, but like obviously 2019, the story is Yelich and Bellinger and their MVP race. But you talk about like the kind of good Marlins teams from the 2010s. You talk about Yelich again. You talk about Stanton. You talk about Real Muto. Obviously, Jose Fernandez, and all of them. But I mean, I don't know if you can tell the story of baseball without that group there and that Marlins teams. Those Marlins
Right.
teams, rather.
No, you are right. This the Marlins teams, especially of the early 2010s.
Yeah,
That's where you kind of get your Giancarlo lore.
yeah.
Also, that 60 home run season he had in 2017. Uh, but it's I mean he's a very good player.
Yeah.
He is. But it's just I don't that move to the Yankees, there was so much expected of him, and maybe that's clouded my judgment, and he's just fallen flat of that metric, you know?
Mhm.
He's fallen flat of of really everything you expected out of him.
Mhm.
And a lot of that's has been his injury history, right? So maybe I'm discounting him too much for that. But I don't know. I just don't. He's really close, and the next couple years of his career are going to be very important for that. If he can have even one, two bounce back seasons, maybe he gets in. I don't think he's a first ballot either way, but baseball's been really, really tough to get into the Hall of Fame recently, and I just don't know if Giancarlo Stanton does enough to get in.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like the thing where I think the whole injury thing. I mean, we're really talking about 2019, and obviously he missed most of the COVID year, but I mean, it was only a 60-game season anyway. He has appeared in 411 games from 2021 on. Like, it's not like he's played in like 100 games. Like he's played 100 games a season. Obviously, you know, you'd like that number to be up, but he's appeared in 100 games a season. He's played in 61 games so far this year. I don't know. It's just that narrative. He in order for him to be on the field, he can't do as much on the field. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And there's no winning for Giancarlo Stanton. Uh, at least in like the modern like narrative like today.
yeah,
Because
no,
it's either he's
it's a
not
tough
trying
situation.
hard enough or he's always hurt. And unfortunately for his body, I'm pretty sure that's going to be your only two options.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's borderline. I just don't think he's quite there yet. And again, he's got a couple more years to change my mind. But if he retired today,
Hmm.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think if he retired today, he's necessarily a Hall of Famer either. But thankfully, it's in the middle of the season and he's got a rest of the season to build up that resume and hopefully
Do
many
you think he
more.
retires at the end of this year?
No, I'm just saying, like you don't really see mid-season retirements from active players. And so even if he retired at the end of the season, I think it's he still has 420 home runs. It's most of the guys who hit that many home runs and aren't in the Hall of Fame is because they weren't clean.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right. That's a lot of home runs.
Yeah,
Led the league twice.
yeah,
It's something.
yeah,
I think he's close. It's just I think if he plays for a couple more years at a good level, he'll get there. But
yeah,
you're asking me that question right now, and it's impossible to project what's going to happen in someone's career, you know?
yeah.
So that I don't think he's there yet. But he could.
Okay,
He could definitely change my mind in a little
yeah,
bit.
sounds good.
But yeah, unless there was anything else you had today, Hayden. That is it for us here at Rounding Third. Tune in next week. We'll cover more of all the juicy baseball details that are going on all around the league. Go and check out the Nats report. Lots of good stuff on there. James Wood interview. Lots of stuff coming out about the Nationals minor league in there. But I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus, joined as always by my friend and co-host.
Hayden Raymer.
We'll be back next week here on Rounding Third. We'll see you then. Bye bye.